The night is quiet. There is a softness in the air, like the world itself is resting. Somewhere far away, a faint wind moves across dry stone. It does not rush. It does not hurry. It simply passes, as it always has. Now, gently, without effort, your mind begins to drift backward. Not quickly. Not all at once. But slowly, like footsteps across an empty courtyard. And as you move through this quiet past, you begin to notice a place. A temple. It stands wide and still beneath an open sky. The stone is pale, worn smooth by many years. The edges are softened by time, by hands, by wind, by dust. There are no crowds here now. No voices. No movement. Only the quiet presence of the building itself. And somewhere within its long corridors, someone is already awake. A temple cleaner. Not a priest. Not a ruler. Not a figure remembered in books. Just a person, moving quietly through sacred space, long before the day begins. You do not hear them at first. Only the faint sound of something brushing across stone. A slow, steady rhythm. Sweep, pause, sweep. It is a simple sound. But it belongs here. The temple cleaner begins their day before the sun. The air is still cool, almost cold, holding on to the last traces of night. The sky above is deep blue, not yet touched by light. They rise from a small sleeping space, somewhere near the outer walls. The room is plain. A woven mat. A clay lamp, now dim. A folded cloth. There is no rush in their movements. They sit for a moment before standing. Just breathing. Just being. Then, slowly, they begin. A small bowl of water is lifted. Hands are washed. Face is cooled. The water is not warm, but it is enough. There is a sense of beginning here. Not loud. Not spoken. Just understood. The temple must be clean before the first light touches its stones. This is not only work. It is something quieter. Something steady. The cleaner picks up their tools. A simple broom made from bound reeds. A cloth, worn but carefully kept. A small container for collecting dust and debris. Nothing more is needed. They step out into the corridor. And the temple begins to reveal itself, piece by piece. Tall columns rise upward, their surfaces marked with carvings. Stories pressed into stone. Figures that have stood still for generations. In the low light, the carvings seem softer. Less defined. Almost like memories instead of images. The cleaner walks slowly. Each step is careful, familiar. They know this place well. They know where dust gathers. They know which corners hold shadows longer than others. They know the paths of wind, how it carries sand through open spaces. The first task is always the same. The outer courtyard. It is wide and open, with stone underfoot and sky above. During the day, it will fill with movement. But now, it is empty. The cleaner begins at one edge. The broom touches the ground. And again, that gentle rhythm returns. Sweep, pause, sweep. Dust moves in small clouds, barely rising. The motion is soft, controlled. There is no need for force. Only patience. Only repetition. The sound echoes faintly across the open space. It does not disturb the silence. It becomes part of it. Time passes, but it does not feel like time. The cleaner does not count minutes. They do not watch the sky. They move, and the work continues. Little by little, the stone begins to change. What was scattered becomes gathered. What was uneven becomes smooth. There is a quiet satisfaction in this. Not pride. Not achievement. Just a sense that things are as they should be. A faint light begins to appear along the horizon. Not bright. Just a soft shift in color. The sky moves from deep blue to something lighter. A pale gray, almost silver. The cleaner notices, but does not stop. There is still much to do. From the courtyard, they move inward. Through a wide entrance framed by tall pillars. Inside, the air feels different. Cooler. Stiller. The sound of the broom changes here. It is softer. More contained. The floor is smoother, worn by countless footsteps. Dust gathers in fine layers. The cleaner bends slightly as they work, guiding the broom with slow, practiced movements. There is no strain. Only rhythm. Sweep, pause, sweep. Along the walls, painted surfaces show faint traces of color. Blues and reds, faded with time. Figures of gods, of offerings, of rituals long repeated. The cleaner does not stop to study them. But they see them every day. In a quiet way, they are familiar. Like old companions who do not speak. A small doorway leads deeper inside. Fewer people come here during the day. But it must still be cleaned. The cleaner enters. The light is dim now. Only what comes through narrow openings reaches this space. The air holds a faint scent. Not unpleasant. Something like old stone, dry wood, and traces of incense. The cleaner sets down the broom for a moment. They take the cloth, dip it lightly into water, and begin to wipe the surfaces. Slowly. Carefully. Every movement is gentle. The cloth passes over stone tables, over small ledges, over objects left in place. Nothing is disturbed more than necessary. There is respect in the way the work is done. Not spoken. Just present. A small bowl sits near the center. Empty now. But it has not always been. The cleaner lifts it slightly. Wipes beneath it. Places it back exactly where it was. The light grows a little stronger. Still soft. Still quiet. Somewhere in the distance, a bird calls. Just once. Then silence again. The cleaner continues. There is no thought of finishing. No thought of what comes next. Only this moment. This motion. This quiet task. And in this way, the temple slowly wakes. Not with sound. Not with movement. But with care. With attention. With the steady presence of someone who arrives before all others. And keeps the space ready. Clean. Calm. Still. The broom returns to the floor. Sweep, pause, sweep. And the day, though not yet fully begun, gently moves forward. The light continues to grow, but very slowly. It does not rush into the temple. It arrives gently, as if it understands the quiet nature of this place. Thin lines of pale gold begin to stretch across the stone floor. They move inch by inch, touching edges, climbing low steps, resting along the base of tall columns. The temple cleaner notices this, but only in passing. Their work continues, steady and unchanged. There is a calm consistency in everything they do. The broom moves in the same slow rhythm. The cloth glides across the same surfaces. Each action follows the one before it, without pause, without question. Outside, the air is beginning to warm, but inside the temple, the coolness remains. Stone holds the night for a little longer. And in this cool stillness, the cleaner moves deeper into the inner halls. These spaces are quieter. Even during the busiest hours, they never become loud. The walls here rise higher, and the ceilings feel distant, almost hidden in shadow. The cleaner walks along a narrow passage. Their footsteps are soft. Barely a sound. The ground beneath is smoother here, worn down over many years by careful steps, slow processions, and quiet rituals. Dust gathers differently in this place. Not in scattered patches, but in fine, even layers. The cleaner kneels slightly, adjusting the angle of the broom. Sweep, pause, sweep. The sound is softer now. More like a whisper than a movement. There is something almost meditative in this repetition. No need to think ahead. No need to remember what has already been done. Only the present movement matters. The present surface. The present motion. A faint glow begins to appear at the end of the passage. It leads into a slightly larger chamber. The cleaner enters without hesitation. This room holds a different feeling. It is not grand, but it carries a quiet importance. Small objects are arranged carefully along low stone platforms. Offerings once placed here have been removed, but traces remain. A faint stain. A small scattering of dried petals. A thin layer of ash from burned incense. The cleaner sets the broom aside again. The cloth is lifted, folded once, then again. They begin to wipe. Each surface is cleaned with care. No movement is rushed. No area is ignored. The cloth presses gently against the stone, lifting dust, smoothing away what does not belong. There is a pattern to this work. A beginning point. A slow circle around the room. And finally, a return to where it started. It is done the same way each day. Not because it must be, but because it feels right. The small objects are lifted one by one. Each is handled with quiet attention. A carved figure. A shallow bowl. A simple piece of shaped stone. Nothing is examined closely. And yet, nothing is overlooked. Each is cleaned, then placed back exactly where it was. There is no need for markers. No written instructions. The cleaner remembers. Not through effort, but through familiarity. The body knows where things belong. The hands move without uncertainty. Outside, the sky is now brighter. The first full light of morning begins to touch the upper parts of the temple. But inside, the transition is softer. Light filters through small openings, creating narrow beams that stretch across the air. Dust particles drift slowly within them. Barely visible. Barely moving. The cleaner pauses for a moment. Not from tiredness. Just a natural pause. The cloth rests in their hands. The room is still. The light is gentle. There is no sound except for a distant breeze moving somewhere beyond the outer walls. Then, without any sign, the work continues again. The broom returns. Sweep, pause, sweep. The remaining dust is gathered. Moved toward a single place. Collected carefully. Nothing is left scattered. The edges of the room are checked. Corners are given extra attention. These are the places where dust prefers to settle. Where time leaves its smallest traces. The cleaner moves slowly along the walls. Their movements are almost unnoticeable. As if they are part of the temple itself. As if they have always been here. Time passes again. but it does not feel like passing. There is no sense of waiting. No sense of delay. Only a quiet unfolding of moments. One after another. The work continues into another chamber. This one is larger. The ceiling is higher. The space feels more open, even though it is enclosed. Here, the floor shows more signs of use. Faint marks from feet. Slight discoloration where people have stood. The cleaner begins at the entrance. Always at the entrance. And slowly moves inward. Sweep, pause, sweep. The rhythm does not change. It remains constant. Reliable. Like breathing. Like the slow movement of the morning itself. In one corner, a small crack runs along the stone floor. It has been there for many years. The cleaner knows it well. Dust gathers there more easily. The broom is angled carefully. The motion is slower here. More precise. Until the space within the crack is clear again. There is no attempt to fix it. Only to care for it. To keep it clean. To keep it as it is. The light grows stronger. Now it reaches deeper into the temple. Soft gold spreads across the floor. Touches the lower parts of the walls. Warms the edges of the stone. The cleaner continues moving. From one section to another. From one room to the next. Each space receives the same attention. The same care. Nothing is more important. Nothing is less. A distant sound begins to appear. Very faint. Almost unnoticed at first. Footsteps. Far away. Not inside the temple. Not yet. But somewhere beyond. The world outside is beginning to wake. But inside, the calm remains. The cleaner does not react. There is no change in pace. No shift in focus. Only the same steady work. The same quiet presence. Sweep, pause, sweep. A final pass is made across the center of the room. The dust has been gathered. The surfaces have been wiped. The space feels clear. Open. Ready. The cleaner lifts the small container. Carefully gathers what has been collected. Dust, small debris, traces of the previous day. Nothing more. It is held gently. As everything is. Then carried out. Through the passage. Back toward the outer courtyard. The light outside is now brighter. The sky has softened into a pale morning blue. The air is warmer. But still gentle. The cleaner steps into the open space once more. Walks to a quiet corner. And releases the gathered dust. It falls lightly. Returning to the ground. Becoming part of the earth again. There is no final gesture. No signal that the work is complete. Because it is never truly complete. It simply pauses. Until the next morning. Until the next quiet beginning. The cleaner stands still for a moment. Looking across the courtyard. The temple is clean. Calm. Prepared. Soon, others will arrive. But for now, there is still a little time. A small space of quiet. Before the day fully begins. And in that quiet, the temple breathes. Softly. Slowly. As it always has. The temple remains quiet, but not empty. There is a difference between silence and emptiness. Silence feels full, like something gentle is resting in the air. Emptiness feels distant, like something has been taken away. This place is not empty. It is simply calm. The cleaner moves slowly along the edge of the courtyard, where the stone meets a low boundary wall. Here, the dust gathers in softer lines, shaped by the wind that passed through during the night. The broom returns to the ground. Sweep, pause, sweep. The motion continues, steady and familiar. The sky above has now shifted into a clearer shade of morning. Soft blue stretches outward, pale near the horizon, deepening slowly as it rises. The first warmth of the sun begins to touch the cleaner's hands. It is not strong. Just enough to be noticed. Just enough to feel like the day is gently arriving. There is no hurry to finish. The cleaner does not measure time by the sun or by shadow. They move according to the work itself. And the work continues, piece by piece. At the far end of the courtyard, near a wide entrance gate, there are small marks along the ground. Footprints from the previous day. Faint now, softened by the night air. The cleaner studies them only for a moment. Not with curiosity. Just with awareness. Then, slowly, they begin to smooth them away. Sweep, pause, sweep. The surface returns to an even tone. As if no one has passed. As if the day has not yet begun. There is something quiet in this act. Not erasing, not removing. But resetting. Preparing. Allowing the temple to begin again. A light breeze moves through the open space. It carries with it a faint scent from beyond the walls. Dry earth. Distant plants. A trace of water from somewhere unseen. The cleaner pauses again, just briefly. The broom rests against the ground. The air moves across their face. Then, without thought, the work continues. There are steps leading up to a raised platform near the center of the courtyard. These steps are worn smooth. Edges rounded from years of use. Dust settles here in thin layers, especially along the corners of each step. The cleaner approaches them carefully. The broom is set aside. The cloth is used again. Each step is wiped slowly. From one side to the other. Then the next. And the next. The motion is patient. There is no need to rush upward. Each level is given the same attention. The same calm care. By the time the cleaner reaches the top, the light has grown stronger. Soft golden tones rest across the platform. From here, the view of the courtyard is wide and open. Everything appears still. Everything appears ready. The cleaner stands for a moment. Not to admire. Not to reflect. Just to exist within the space. Then, slowly, they begin to descend. Step by step. Returning to the ground. The work is nearly complete for this early part of the day. But there are always small things left. There are always quiet details that ask for attention. Near the entrance to one of the inner halls, a small clay lamp sits in a niche. Its flame is no longer burning. Only a faint trace of darkened wick remains. The cleaner lifts it gently. Turns it slightly in the light. Then wipes its surface with the cloth. Removing the thin layer of dust that has settled overnight. The lamp is placed back exactly where it was. Not moved even slightly. This precision is not forced. It comes naturally. From repetition. From quiet familiarity. From days that move in the same calm pattern. The cleaner walks again through the temple entrance. Inside, the light now reaches further. Soft beams stretch across the floor. Touching areas that were still in shadow before. The air feels a little warmer. But still calm. Still still. The inner halls are now clean. The surface is clear. The dust gathered. There is nothing left to sweep. Nothing left to wipe. Only space. Open and ready. In one of the deeper rooms, the cleaner returns for a final look. Not searching for mistakes. Just observing. The small objects rest quietly in their places. The floor is smooth. The walls are still. Everything feels balanced. The cleaner turns and walks back toward the courtyard. Their steps are slow. Measured. Without sound. At the threshold, they pause once more. The outside world is beginning to shift. The faint sounds from earlier are now a little clearer. Footsteps, still distant. Voices, soft and scattered. The day is approaching. But the temple is already prepared. Already calm. Already waiting. The cleaner steps outside. The sun now rests just above the horizon. Its light is gentle, not yet bright. It spreads slowly across the stone, warming it, bringing a soft glow to every surface. The cleaner sets their tools down in a small shaded space near the wall. The broom rests against the stone. The cloth is folded carefully. The container is emptied and set aside. Each item has its place. Each action has its order. Nothing is left out of balance. There is a quiet moment now. A pause between the early work and the rest of the day. The cleaner sits. Not far from where they began. The ground beneath is still cool. The air is soft. There is no urgency. No next task pressing forward. Only a gentle stillness. The temple stands around them. Clean. Open. Silent. And in that silence, something very simple exists. A sense of completion. Not final. Not permanent. Just for now. Just for this moment. The cleaner breathes slowly. The sounds of the world beyond the temple walls continue to grow, little by little. But inside, the calm remains. It lingers. It settles. It holds its place. And soon, without any signal, without any clear beginning, the next part of the day will arrive. People will enter. Footsteps will return. Voices will fill the open spaces. But the cleaner has already done their work. Quietly. Carefully. Without being seen. And because of that, everything feels ready. Everything feels right. The morning has begun. But the stillness remains, just beneath the surface. Waiting. Always waiting. The morning settles gently over the temple. The light is no longer faint. It has become steady, resting across the stone with a quiet warmth. Shadows shorten slowly. The coolness of night begins to fade from the floors and walls. And with this soft change, the first people begin to arrive. At first, it is only one. A distant figure, moving slowly toward the entrance. Their footsteps are light, almost careful, as if they understand the stillness of the place they are entering. The cleaner notices, but does not move. They remain seated near the edge of the courtyard, their posture calm, their presence quiet. There is no need to announce anything. No need to greet. The temple does not require such things. The figure passes through the entrance. Their steps echo faintly for a moment, then soften as they move further inside. Soon, another arrives. Then another. Each person enters with a similar stillness. Voices are low, if they are used at all. There is a natural quiet that people seem to carry with them as they step into the temple. The cleaner rises slowly. There is no sudden movement. They stand, brush their hands lightly against their clothing, and return to their tools. The work is not finished. It simply changes. Now, instead of preparing an empty space, the cleaner begins to care for a living one. The broom is lifted again. But the rhythm is softer now. More careful. Sweep, pause, sweep. The cleaner moves along the edges of the courtyard, where fewer feet pass. They do not interrupt anyone. They do not cross into the center where people stand or walk. Instead, they remain at the boundaries, quietly maintaining what has already been done. A small piece of debris appears near one of the steps. It may have been carried in on a shoe. The cleaner notices it immediately. They move closer, slowly, so as not to disturb. The broom shifts slightly. Sweep. The piece is gone. Nothing more is needed. The work continues like this. Small adjustments. Gentle corrections. The temple begins to fill, but it does not become loud. Even as more people arrive, the sound remains soft. Footsteps. Cloth brushing against cloth. A faint murmur here and there. Nothing sharp. Nothing sudden. The cleaner moves through it all like a quiet current. Always present, but rarely noticed. Inside the temple, the same pattern continues. Visitors pass through the halls. Some pause near the walls, looking at the carvings. Some stand quietly in the larger chambers. Some move slowly, as if following a path they already know. The cleaner enters these spaces without hesitation. But always with care. Always with awareness. The broom touches the ground only where it is needed. The cloth is used only when something has changed. A small trace of dust here. A faint mark there. Each is tended to without drawing attention. There is no interruption to the movement of others. The cleaner works around them. Between them. As if they are part of the natural flow of the temple itself. In one of the inner rooms, a small group stands near a low platform. They are still. Their presence quiet. The cleaner pauses at the entrance. Not because they must. But because it feels right. They wait for a moment. Then, when the space allows, they step in. Moving along the edge. The cloth is lifted. A surface is wiped gently. No sound beyond the soft movement of fabric against stone. The group remains undisturbed. The cleaner finishes and steps back. Nothing has been changed in appearance. But everything remains in order. Outside, the sunlight continues to grow. It moves across the courtyard in slow patterns, touching different areas as the morning advances. The cleaner notices the way the light reveals small details. Dust that was not visible before. Faint lines along the ground. Subtle changes in texture. These are not problems. They are simply part of the day. And so, the work continues. Sweep, pause, sweep. Near the entrance, more footsteps arrive. The temple is now gently active. Not busy. Not crowded. But alive. The cleaner adjusts their path slightly. Staying near the outer edges. Allowing clear space for those who enter. There is no spoken rule for this. Only understanding. Only quiet awareness. At times, the cleaner steps aside completely. Standing still as someone passes. Then returning to the work as soon as the space is clear again. There is patience in every movement. Nothing is forced. Nothing is hurried. Time flows differently here. Slower. Softer. The cleaner does not measure how long they have been working. They do not count how many spaces have been cleaned again. They simply continue. A small breeze moves through the courtyard once more. It carries in new dust. Very fine. Almost invisible. The cleaner notices the slight change in the air and responds without thought. The broom shifts direction. The motion adjusts. Sweep, pause, sweep. The new dust is gathered just as the old dust was. No difference. No frustration. Only the same steady care. Inside, a faint scent of incense begins to return. Someone has lit a small offering. The air changes slightly. Warmer. Richer. The cleaner moves through it without pause. The scent does not distract. It becomes part of the environment. Part of the day. A small drop of wax has fallen near one of the platforms. The cleaner kneels. Uses the cloth. Applies a gentle pressure. Waits. Then lifts. The surface beneath is smooth again. Nothing remains. The action is small. Almost invisible. But it keeps the space as it should be. The temple continues its quiet rhythm. People come. People move. People leave. And through it all, the cleaner remains. Not at the center. Not at the edges. But somewhere in between. Always present. Always steady. As the morning deepens, the light becomes stronger. The shadows become shorter. The warmth grows. But inside the temple, the calm remains. It does not change. It does not fade. It holds its place beneath every sound, beneath every step. And the cleaner continues. Without pause. Without end. Only movement. Only care. Only the quiet work that keeps everything balanced. The morning slowly deepens into midday. It does not happen all at once. There is no sudden shift. Instead, the light becomes a little brighter. The warmth lingers a little longer on the stone. The shadows grow shorter, drawing closer to the bases of columns and walls. The temple continues to breathe in its quiet way. People still come and go, but the rhythm begins to change. The early stillness softens into a gentle repetition. Footsteps follow familiar paths. Voices remain low, almost carried by the air rather than spoken into it. And the cleaner continues, moving within this slow pattern. The broom is still in their hands. The motion has not changed. Sweep, pause, sweep. But now, the pace feels even more settled. There is no beginning to the work anymore. No clear starting point. It has simply become part of the day itself. In the courtyard, the sunlight now reaches nearly every surface. The stone, once cool and pale, begins to hold a quiet warmth. If touched, it would feel different than before. Not hot. Just gently warmed by the passing hours. The cleaner walks along the outer edges again. Their path is not fixed, but it often returns to the same places. Corners. Steps. Entrances. These are the places where small changes happen. Where the day leaves its soft marks. Near one of the columns, a thin line of dust has gathered once more. Carried by the breeze, settled without notice. The cleaner approaches. Sweep, pause, sweep. The line disappears. The surface returns to stillness. There is no sense of repetition as something tiring. It is not heavy. It is not endless in a difficult way. It is simply continuous. Like breathing. Like the slow movement of the sun across the sky. Inside the temple, the air feels different now. Slightly warmer. The scent of incense is more present. Not strong. just noticeable. It lingers along the inner halls, resting in the corners of the rooms. The cleaner walks through one of these halls again. It has already been cleaned once. But that does not mean it is finished. Dust returns. Small marks appear. The work continues. The cloth is lifted. Folded once more. A surface is wiped. Then another. Each motion is quiet. Each movement careful. There is no rush to complete anything. Because there is always more to tend to. In one of the deeper chambers, fewer people now remain. The space feels calm again. Almost like it did in the early morning. The cleaner steps inside. The light here is softer. Filtered through narrow openings. Creating long, pale shapes across the floor. The cleaner pauses for a moment. Not from tiredness. Just from the natural rhythm of the body. The cloth rests in their hands. The room is still. The air is quiet. Then, gently, the work continues. A small piece of debris is noticed near the edge of a platform. The cleaner kneels. Uses the cloth. Lifts it away. Places it into the container. Nothing more. No extra movement. No wasted effort. Everything is simple. Everything is enough. Outside, the heat of the day begins to settle more firmly. The air feels heavier. The breeze becomes softer. Less frequent. The sounds from beyond the temple walls seem more distant now. As if the world itself has slowed under the midday sun. The cleaner returns to the courtyard. The brightness of the light is stronger here. It rests fully on the open space. The stone reflects it gently. Not sharply. Just enough to create a soft glow. The cleaner walks across the courtyard slowly. The broom now rests against their shoulder. For a brief moment, there is no sweeping. No wiping. Only walking. Only being within the space. They move toward a shaded area near one of the walls. A place where the sunlight does not reach directly. The air here feels cooler. More still. The cleaner sets the broom down. Carefully. The cloth is folded again. Placed beside it. Then, slowly, they sit. There is no signal for this pause. No fixed time. It simply arrives. A moment within the day where the body rests. The cleaner sits quietly. Their hands rest loosely. Their breathing remains slow. The temple continues around them. People still pass through. Footsteps still echo softly. But from this shaded place, everything feels distant. Gentle. Softened. The cleaner does not close their eyes. But their gaze is calm. Unfocused. As if they are not looking at anything in particular. Time moves. But it is not counted. The pause is not long. But it is enough. After a while, without any clear reason, the cleaner stands again. There is no decision. Only movement. The broom is lifted. The cloth is taken once more. And the work resumes. Sweep, pause, sweep. The rhythm returns exactly as it was before. Unchanged. Steady. Reliable. In one corner of the courtyard, near the entrance, a small cluster of dried leaves has gathered. Perhaps carried in by the wind. Perhaps brought in by those who entered. The cleaner approaches. The broom moves. Sweep, pause, sweep. The leaves are gathered. Lifted. Removed. The space returns to stillness. Inside, a faint sound echoes briefly. A step, slightly heavier than the others. Then it fades again. The cleaner does not turn. There is no need. Everything continues as it should. The day moves forward. Slowly. Gently. Without interruption. And the cleaner remains within it. A quiet presence. A steady motion. A part of the temple that does not change, even as everything else shifts. The light will continue to move. The air will continue to warm and cool. People will come and go. But the work remains the same. Simple. Careful. Endless in the most peaceful way. Sweep, pause, sweep. And in this steady rhythm, the midday passes without notice. Softly. Like a breath that was never counted. The warmth of midday begins, very slowly, to soften. It does not disappear. It does not fall away all at once. Instead, it settles into the stone, into the walls, into the quiet spaces between columns. The light remains bright, but something within it changes. It becomes less direct. Less still. The shadows begin to stretch again, just slightly. Almost unnoticeable at first. The cleaner continues their steady movement through the temple. There is no clear moment when midday becomes afternoon. Only a gradual shift. A gentle turning of the day. The broom moves again across the courtyard. Sweep, pause, sweep. The rhythm has not changed since the early morning. It remains the same, as constant as breathing. But the feeling around it is different now. The air is heavier. The quiet is deeper. Fewer people pass through the temple at this hour. The movement has slowed. Those who remain walk more slowly, linger longer, or sit in shaded spaces along the walls. The temple begins to feel wider again. More open. More still. The cleaner moves through this quieter space with the same care as before. Along the edges. Near the steps. Across the places where dust gathers without asking. Near one of the inner entrances, a faint line of sand has formed again. It is fine, almost like powder. The cleaner notices it immediately. They approach without sound. Sweep, pause, sweep. The sand gathers, shifts, disappears into the small container. Nothing remains behind. Inside the temple, the light has changed as well. It enters at a different angle now. Longer beams stretch across the floors, touching walls that were in shadow before, leaving other areas dim. The cleaner walks through these shifting patterns of light and shade. Their form moves slowly between brightness and shadow. Sometimes fully visible. Sometimes softened by the dimness. In one of the deeper halls, the air feels cooler again. The thick stone holds back the warmth of the day. The cleaner steps inside. Their footsteps are quiet, as always. The cloth is lifted once more. A surface is wiped. Then another. The work is the same. But there is a certain softness to it now. A slower pace. Not from tiredness. But from the natural rhythm of the afternoon. The body moves differently at this hour. Not weak. Not strained. Just slower. More measured. As if each movement has settled into a deeper calm. The cleaner pauses near a wall. The cloth rests in their hands. A faint breeze moves through a narrow opening above. It carries a cooler touch now. Not cold. Just gentle. The cleaner stands still for a moment. Then continues. There is no resistance to the work. No effort to move faster or slower. Only acceptance of the pace that the day has brought. Outside, the courtyard is quieter. Only a few figures remain. Some sit along the edges, resting in the shade. Others move slowly toward the exits. The early movement of the morning has faded. The temple feels as though it is beginning to rest, even before evening has arrived. The cleaner moves along the perimeter once more. Their path is familiar. Their steps light. The broom glides across the stone. Sweep, pause, sweep. The sound is softer now, almost blending completely with the quiet of the space. Near the raised platform, a few small marks have appeared again. Perhaps from where someone stood for a while. The cleaner approaches. The cloth is used this time. A slow, careful motion. The marks fade. The surface returns to stillness. The cleaner does not step back to look. There is no need to check. The work is known through the doing, not through the result. The sun begins to lower, though it is still high. Its light takes on a softer tone. Less white. More golden. The stone reflects this change. The temple shifts in color without effort. Soft warmth replaces the brightness of midday. The cleaner continues moving between spaces. Courtyard to hall. Hall to chamber. Chamber back to courtyard. There is no fixed order now. Only a quiet awareness of where attention is needed. In one of the inner rooms, the small objects remain undisturbed. They have not been touched since the morning. But still, the cleaner checks them. One by one. A light wipe. A careful placement. Nothing changes. And yet, everything is maintained. This is the nature of the work. Not to create. Not to change. But to keep. To preserve the stillness. To hold the space as it is meant to be. The afternoon continues. Slowly. Without urgency. The sounds of the outside world remain distant. Occasionally, a faint voice. A passing step. But nothing that disturbs the calm within the temple walls. The cleaner returns once more to the shaded area near the courtyard wall. Not to sit this time. Only to pause. The broom rests lightly against their shoulder. The cloth hangs loosely in their hand. The body is still. The breath is steady. There is no sign of fatigue that asks for rest. Only a quiet awareness of the passing day. Then, just as gently as before, the movement begins again. The broom lowers. Sweep, pause, sweep. The work continues. Unchanged. Unending. But never heavy. Never rushed. Only steady. Only calm. The light continues to soften. The shadows grow longer now. Stretching across the stone in quiet lines. The temple begins to feel different again. Not empty. Not full. But somewhere in between. A space that is slowly preparing for the evening. And the cleaner remains within it. Moving. Caring. Maintaining. As they always have. As they always will. Without needing to think about it. Without needing to speak. Only the rhythm remains. Sweep, pause, sweep. And the afternoon drifts gently forward. The afternoon slowly leans toward evening. It happens quietly. The light begins to soften further, turning warmer, deeper, almost golden in tone. Long shadows stretch across the courtyard, reaching farther with each passing moment. The stone, which held the warmth of the day, begins to release it little by little. The air feels lighter now. Easier. More open. The temple grows quieter again. Not suddenly, but gently. One by one, the remaining visitors begin to leave. Their footsteps move toward the entrance. Their presence fades into the distance. The soft echoes that once filled the halls begin to disappear. Until once again, there is more silence than sound. The cleaner continues moving through the courtyard. The broom still glides across the stone. Sweep, pause, sweep. But now the rhythm feels slower. Not because the work has changed, but because the day itself has softened. Near the entrance, a final set of footprints marks the ground. The cleaner approaches. The broom moves lightly. Sweep, pause, sweep. The marks fade. The surface returns to stillness, as if the day is gently being set aside. Inside the temple, the light has shifted even more. It enters at low angles now, slipping through openings and resting along the floors in long, quiet bands. The upper walls begin to dim. The deeper chambers return to shadow. The cleaner walks through one of the inner halls again. Their figure passes through light and shadow slowly. The cloth is lifted once more. A surface is wiped. Then another. Each movement feels softer now. More deliberate. As if each action carries the quiet weight of the day that has passed. There is no rush to finish. There is no sense of ending. Only a gradual slowing. In one of the deeper rooms, the air is cooler. The warmth of the day does not reach here as easily. The cleaner pauses near the center. The room is empty. Still. The faint scent of incense lingers, softer now, almost fading. The cleaner moves to a small niche in the wall. A clay lamp rests there. Unlit. The cleaner lifts it gently. Examines it only through touch. The cloth wipes its surface. Removes the dust that has settled during the day. Then, with slow care, the lamp is prepared. A small wick is adjusted. A trace of oil is added. There is no flame yet. Only preparation. The lamp is returned to its place. The cleaner moves to another. Then another. Each one receives the same attention. One by one. Quietly. Carefully. Outside, the sky begins to change color. Soft blue fades into warmer tones. Hints of gold. Hints of pale orange. The sun lowers further, though it is not yet gone. The cleaner returns to the courtyard. The light here is gentle now. No longer bright. No longer strong. It rests across the stone like a soft layer. The shadows from the columns stretch long and thin, reaching across the open space. The cleaner walks along these shadows. Their steps slow. Measured. The broom touches the ground again. Sweep, pause, sweep. There is less dust now. Less movement. The temple has begun to settle. Near the raised platform, the cleaner stops. The cloth is used once more. A final wipe across the surface. Not because it is needed, but because it is part of the rhythm. Part of the quiet closing of the day. The cleaner moves toward the outer edge of the courtyard, where the boundary wall meets the open air beyond. A faint breeze returns. Cooler than before. It carries the feeling of evening. The cleaner pauses. The broom rests lightly against the ground. For a moment, there is no movement. Only the sound of the breeze passing along the stone. Only the quiet presence of the temple itself. Then, slowly, the cleaner turns. There is still more to do. The lamps inside must be lit. The inner halls must be prepared for the night. The cleaner steps back into the temple. The light inside is dim now. Soft shadows fill the spaces between columns. The deeper rooms are nearly dark. The cleaner walks to the first lamp. Their movements are careful. Familiar. A small flame is brought close. The wick catches slowly. A gentle glow appears. Not bright. Just enough. The lamp is set. Then the cleaner moves to the next. And the next. Each one is lit in the same quiet way. No sudden light. No sharp brightness. Only small, steady flames. The temple begins to glow softly from within. The shadows shift again. Not disappearing, but softening. The light from the lamps rests along the walls. Touches the carvings. Brings faint life to the still figures etched in stone. The cleaner continues this work without pause. Room to room. Lamp to lamp. Until each space holds its own quiet glow. The air changes slightly. Warmer in small pockets. Calm. Still. The cleaner steps back into the courtyard once more. The sky above is now deeper in color. The sun rests low, near the horizon. Its light is softer than ever. Almost fading. The temple stands between day and night. Balanced. Still. The cleaner gathers their tools. The broom is lifted. The cloth folded. The small container held gently. There is no final task. No last movement that signals completion. Only a gradual slowing. The work becomes less. Then less again. Until there is nothing left to do. The cleaner walks to the shaded place near the wall. The same place from earlier. The tools are set down carefully. Each in its place. The cleaner stands for a moment. Looking across the courtyard. The lamps inside glow softly. The stone holds the last light of day. The air is calm. The temple is ready for the night. There is no announcement. No closing sound. Only quiet. The cleaner sits once more. Their hands rest. Their breathing slow. The sky continues to darken. And the temple, once again, begins to return to stillness. A deeper stillness. The kind that comes only at the end of a long, quiet day. And in that stillness, everything remains. Clean. Calm. Unchanged. Night settles slowly over the temple. It does not arrive as a sudden darkness. It grows, gently, from the fading light of evening. The sky deepens from soft gold to muted blue, and then to a quiet, endless shade of dark. The last warmth of the sun slips away from the stone. What remains is a calm coolness, spreading across the courtyard, along the walls, into the silent halls. The lamps inside the temple glow softly. Each small flame holds steady. They do not flicker much. There is very little wind here now. Only still air, resting quietly in every space. The cleaner remains seated for a while. Not asleep. Not fully at rest. Just still. Their body has moved through the entire day, yet there is no urgency to lie down. No need to hurry toward sleep. Only this quiet moment, where the day has ended but the night has not fully begun. The temple feels different now. Not empty. Not full. But deeply still. A stillness that feels complete. The sounds of the outside world have faded. Whatever movement continues beyond the walls is distant. Soft. Barely there. Inside, the only light comes from the lamps. Small circles of warmth resting in pools of shadow. The cleaner slowly stands. There is no signal for it. No decision that can be seen. Only a quiet shift. The body rises, steady and unhurried. The tools remain where they were placed. There is no more work to be done tonight. The temple is clean, prepared, calm. The cleaner walks slowly through the courtyard one last time. Their steps are softer now, almost blending into the quiet. They move toward the inner halls. Not to clean, only to pass through, to see. The light from the lamps rests gently along the floors. It touches the walls in soft patterns. The carvings appear different in this light. Less detailed. More like shadows themselves. The cleaner walks along a familiar path. Through one hall. Then another. The air is cool. The scent of incense has faded into something faint and distant. A memory of the day, rather than a presence. In one of the deeper chambers, the cleaner pauses. The room is lit by a single lamp. Its glow is soft, barely reaching the far corners. The cleaner stands still. There is nothing to adjust. Nothing to change. Everything is as it should be. The lamp burns quietly. The stone remains still. The air does not move. After a moment, the cleaner turns. Steps back into the corridor. And continues. The temple at night is not the same as during the day. It feels larger. More open. Even though the walls remain the same. The absence of movement creates space. The absence of sound deepens it. The cleaner moves through this space without disturbance. As if they belong to the quiet itself. They return to the courtyard. The sky above is now fully dark. Small points of light appear, scattered across the distance. The air feels cooler. Softer. The stone beneath their feet has lost the warmth of the day. It holds only the calm of the night. The cleaner walks to the edge of the courtyard. Where the wall meets the open air beyond. They pause there. Looking outward. Not focusing on anything. Just existing in the moment. The breeze is faint. It moves slowly, brushing across the surface of the temple. Carrying nothing with it now. No dust. No warmth. Only quiet. After a while, the cleaner turns back. Their steps lead toward the small sleeping space near the outer wall. The same place where the day began. The room is simple. Unchanged. The woven mat rests where it was left. The clay lamp inside is unlit. The cleaner enters. Moves slowly. There is no rush to sleep. No sense of urgency. Only the natural closing of the day. They sit for a moment. Just as they did in the early morning. Hands resting. Breath steady. The body begins to soften. The movements of the day fade into stillness. The cleaner lies down. The mat beneath them is firm. Familiar. The room holds a gentle darkness. Not complete. A faint trace of light from outside slips through a small opening. Just enough to shape the space. The cleaner closes their eyes. There is no long thought. No reflection. Only rest. Outside, the temple remains. The lamps continue to burn softly. Their light steady. Their presence quiet. Time moves. But it is not measured. The night deepens. The air cools further. The silence grows. And within this stillness, everything remains as it is. The temple does not change. The cleaner does not move. The world rests. Hours pass in quiet darkness. No sound breaks the calm. No movement disturbs the space. Until, slowly, very slowly, the first hint of change begins again. Not visible. Not yet. But present. A subtle shift in the air. A softness at the edge of the night. The beginning of another morning, still far away. The cycle does not end. It simply continues. As it always has. As it always will. And somewhere within that quiet, the cleaner rests. Waiting, without knowing. For the next gentle beginning. The days begin to gather into something larger. At first, each day feels like its own quiet moment. A morning, an afternoon, an evening, a night. But slowly, without being noticed, they begin to connect. One day becomes another. Then another. The rhythm does not change. The cleaner wakes before the light. Moves through the same spaces. Follows the same gentle patterns. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. Step, turn, continue. There is no need to remember yesterday. Because today feels the same. And tomorrow will feel the same again. The temple remains. Still. Unchanging. And yet, over time, small differences begin to appear. Not all at once. Not in ways that demand attention. Only in quiet, gradual shifts. The air in the early morning begins to feel slightly cooler. The breeze carries a different scent. Dry dust is joined by something softer. A faint trace of distant growth. The cleaner notices, but only in the body. Not as a thought. The hands move the same way. The feet follow the same paths. But the air feels different against the skin. The stone holds the night a little longer. The light of morning takes a little more time to fully arrive. These are the first signs of a changing season. The cleaner continues their work. Nothing changes in the routine. The courtyard is swept. The inner halls are wiped. The lamps are prepared. Everything continues as it always has. But the light itself begins to shift. In the early morning, it feels softer. Less sharp. More spread out. The shadows stretch differently. They linger in new places. The cleaner adjusts without thinking. Moving into these new patterns of light and shade. Sweep, pause, sweep. In the afternoon, the warmth is less intense. The air does not grow as heavy. The breeze returns more often. It passes through the temple with a quiet, steady motion, carrying small traces of the outside world. Sometimes a faint scent of water. Sometimes the dry whisper of distant fields. The cleaner works within this changing air. The broom moves. The cloth wipes. Nothing is interrupted. Nothing is changed. The work continues. Over many days, the differences grow. The mornings become cooler. The afternoons softer. The evenings arrive sooner. The light fades earlier. The temple begins to feel different at certain hours. Not empty. Not full. But touched by the quiet passing of time. The cleaner notices the way the stone feels beneath their feet. In the early hours, it is cooler than before. Almost cold. The hands feel it too. As they hold the broom. As they press the cloth against the surfaces. The cooler air settles into everything. But the work does not slow. It does not change. It simply continues within the new conditions. Inside the temple, the lamps seem warmer now. Their small flames hold a stronger presence against the growing dimness of the early evenings. The cleaner lights them in the same way. One by one. Each flame steady. Each glow soft. But the contrast is deeper now. Light and shadow feel more distinct. More separate. And yet still calm. Still quiet. The visitors who come to the temple move differently as well. Their steps are a little slower. Their presence more contained. They stay closer to the inner halls, away from the cooler air of the courtyard. The cleaner moves around them as always, without interruption, without being seen. Sweep, pause, sweep. The days continue to gather, one into another, without beginning, without end. The season settles fully. The air becomes consistently cool, the light softer. The temple holds a different kind of stillness. Deeper, more settled. The cleaner's routine remains unchanged. Morning begins before the light. The courtyard is swept. The inner halls are wiped. The small objects are cleaned and returned. The lamps are prepared. Evening arrives. Night settles. Rest follows. And then morning begins again. There is no variation in the work, only variation in the world around it. The cleaner exists within this pattern, not resisting it, not shaping it, only moving with it. Over time, even these cooler days begin to shift again. The air slowly changes. The mornings are not as cold. The light grows slightly stronger. The breeze carries new scents. Faint hints of warmth returning. The stone begins to hold heat once more. Very slowly. Almost unnoticed. The cleaner feels it through their steps. Through their hands. The temple responds as well. The inner halls warm slightly during the day. The shadows shorten again. The light returns to its earlier brightness. And still, the work remains the same. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. Day after day. Season after season. Nothing is hurried. Nothing is forced. Everything unfolds in its own quiet time. Years begin to pass in this way. Not counted. Not marked. Only experienced. The cleaner does not think of years. Does not measure time in that way. Only mornings. Only evenings. Only the steady movement of each day. The temple remains. Its stone slowly wearing with time. Its carvings softening at the edges. But still standing. Still holding its shape. Still receiving the same quiet care. The cleaner continues. Always present. Always steady. A part of the temple's rhythm. As constant as the rising and setting of the sun. As quiet as the dust that gathers and is gently swept away. And in this endless, gentle repetition, time passes without weight. Without pressure. Without urgency. Only movement. Only stillness. Only the soft, continuous flow of days that never truly begin, and never truly end. Time continues to move, but it does not feel like movement. It feels like stillness that slowly changes. The days repeat, one after another, each carrying the same quiet rhythm. Morning arrives. Work begins. Light shifts. Evening settles. Night returns. And within this gentle cycle, the cleaner remains. There is no need to remember when it all began. There is no clear moment that stands apart from the others. Only a long, unbroken line of days that blend together softly. The temple itself begins to show small signs of time. Not sudden changes. Not anything that would draw attention. Only subtle differences. A stone edge becomes slightly smoother. A carved line becomes less sharp. A surface holds the memory of many quiet touches. The cleaner notices these things without thinking. The hands feel them. The cloth passes over them. The broom glides across them. And in this quiet way, the passing of years is known. Not through counting, but through contact. Through presence. Through the slow, steady repetition of care. The cleaner's movements remain the same. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. But there is a softness now. A deeper calm within each action. Not slower. Not weaker. Just more settled. As if the body has fully become part of the rhythm. There is no separation between the cleaner and the work. They move together. As one quiet motion. The mornings still begin before the light. The air still carries the softness of night. The sky still shifts from dark to pale. And the cleaner still rises without sound. The same small room. The same woven mat. The same simple beginning. Nothing has changed. And yet, everything has moved forward. The temple remains constant. But time rests within it. Layer by layer. Like dust that gathers and is gently swept away. The seasons continue their slow turning. Warmth returns. Then fades. Coolness settles. Then lifts. The light grows strong. Then soft. The cleaner moves through all of it. Without resistance. Without expectation. Only presence. In the warmer days, the stone holds heat again. The air feels fuller. The breeze carries dry dust through the open spaces. The cleaner responds as always. Sweep, pause, sweep. Gather. Remove. Restore. In the cooler days, the temple feels quieter. The air thinner. The sounds softer. The cleaner's steps echo just a little more. But still, the rhythm continues. Unchanged. The years pass in this way. Without marking themselves. Without asking to be remembered. The cleaner does not count them. Does not measure the length of time. There is no need. The work remains the same. And so, time becomes something gentle. Something that does not press. Something that does not hurry. Only something that flows quietly beneath each day. There are moments when the cleaner pauses slightly longer than before. Not from effort. Not from fatigue. Just from stillness. A natural pause. A quiet standing within the space. The temple around them remains unchanged in its presence. The columns stand. The walls hold their quiet stories. The floors remain smooth beneath each step. The lamps continue to glow each evening. Small flames against the deepening dark. The cleaner lights them one by one. As always. No difference. No variation. Only the same careful motion. The same gentle attention. In the deeper rooms, the silence feels even more complete now. As if it has settled over many years. Layered. Softened. The cleaner moves through it without sound. The cloth passes over the surfaces. The small objects are lifted and returned. Nothing shifts. Nothing is disturbed. Everything remains. The temple does not ask for change. Only for care. Only for presence. And the cleaner provides it. Without thought. Without effort. Only through being there. Through continuing. Through repeating. The body itself begins to feel like part of the temple. The steps follow the same paths each day. The hands know every surface. Every edge. Every corner. There is no uncertainty. No hesitation. Only familiarity. Deep and quiet. The mornings, the afternoons, the evenings, the nights. They no longer feel separate. They blend together. A single, continuous flow. The cleaner moves within it. Not marking beginnings. Not marking endings. Only moving. Only being. And as the years continue to pass, this quiet life remains unchanged in its essence. The temple stands. The work continues. The rhythm holds. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. Light, shadow, stillness. Again. And again. And again. There is no final moment. No clear end. Only the ongoing presence of care. Of quiet movement. Of a life that exists within repetition. And finds its calm there. Finds its stillness there. Finds its place there. Time continues, but it feels softer now. Not slower. Not faster. Just softer. The days still move in their quiet rhythm, but something within them feels deeper. More settled. The cleaner rises in the early morning as always. The same small room. The same woven mat. The same gentle beginning before the light arrives. But the movements carry a different feeling now. Not heavy. Not strained. Just more deliberate. More aware. The hands rest a moment longer before lifting the bowl of water. The breath lingers slightly deeper before the first step is taken. There is no change in the work itself. Only in the way it is carried. The cleaner steps into the courtyard. The air is cool, as it often is before sunrise. The sky holds that quiet, pale darkness just before the first light. The broom is lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. The rhythm continues exactly as it always has. But the pauses are a little longer now. Not enough to notice clearly. Only enough to feel. The body does not move as quickly from one motion to the next. And yet, nothing is lost. Nothing is left undone. The work remains complete. Careful. Whole. The temple receives the same attention. The same quiet care. Each surface is cleaned. Each corner is tended. Each space is prepared. Inside the halls, the cleaner moves slowly. The cloth glides across the stone. The small objects are lifted with steady hands. Returned to their places. Nothing changes. Nothing shifts. Only the pace softens. The light begins to enter the temple again. As it always does. Thin lines of pale gold stretch across the floor. Climbing slowly along the walls. Touching the carvings with a quiet warmth. The cleaner moves through this light. Their steps steady. Their presence calm. There is no urgency. No need to keep up with the day. The day unfolds around them. And they move within it. As they always have. Over many years, the body has learned this rhythm completely. It no longer thinks about the work. It simply does it. Each motion follows the next. Without question. Without effort. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. Even as the body slows, the rhythm remains unbroken. It adjusts. It settles. But it does not stop. The temple itself feels unchanged. But time rests within it more deeply now. The stone holds not only the marks of many years, but also the quiet memory of countless days of care. The cleaner is part of that memory. Not in a way that can be seen, but in a way that can be felt. In the smoothness of the floors. In the clarity of the spaces. In the stillness that fills the air. There are moments now when the cleaner pauses slightly longer. Standing in the courtyard. Or within a hall. The broom resting gently against the ground. The cloth held loosely in the hand. The pause is not from tiredness. Not from need. Only from stillness. A natural stillness that grows with time. The temple does not ask for speed. It does not demand more. It simply receives what is given. And what is given remains enough. The days continue to pass. Morning to evening. Evening to night. Night to morning again. The cycle remains complete. Unbroken. There are times when another presence appears. A quieter figure. Younger. Moving through the temple with careful steps. Not interfering. Not leading. Only observing. The cleaner notices this presence without turning. Without speaking. There is no need for words. The work itself is the only guide. The younger figure watches. Learns the paths. Learns the rhythm. Learns the quiet way of moving through the space. No instructions are given. No lessons spoken aloud. Only repetition. Only example. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. Day after day. The younger presence begins to move more. Not in place of the cleaner. But alongside. At a distance. Mirroring the same slow motions. The same careful attention. The same quiet care. The temple does not change. But the presence within it begins to shift. Not suddenly. Not completely. Only gradually. Like the changing of the light. Like the passing of the seasons. The cleaner continues their work. Still steady. Still present. But the pauses grow slightly longer. The steps slightly slower. The breath slightly deeper. And the younger figure continues to learn. Through watching. Through doing. Through being within the same quiet rhythm. There is no moment of passing. No clear exchange. Only a soft blending. One presence becoming less. Another becoming more. The temple remains. The work remains. The rhythm remains. And within that rhythm, life continues. Not as something separate. But as part of the same steady motion. The mornings still begin before the light. The broom still touches the ground. Sweep, pause, sweep. The cloth still moves across the stone. Cloth, wipe, place. But now, sometimes, there are two movements. Two quiet presences. Working within the same space. Without speaking. Without needing to. The temple holds them both. Equally. Gently. As it has always held everything. The days continue. Softly. Endlessly. Without beginning. Without end. Only the quiet continuation of care. Of presence. Of stillness. And in that stillness, nothing is lost. Nothing is rushed. Everything simply remains. The days continue to pass in their quiet, unbroken rhythm. Morning still comes before the light. The air still holds the softness of night. The temple still waits in silence. But now, the movement within that silence feels slightly different. Not changed. Only shared. The older cleaner still rises as always. The same slow beginning. The same steady breath. The same gentle step into the courtyard. The broom is lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. But nearby, another motion begins. The younger figure, once only watching, now moves with quiet purpose. Not ahead. Not behind. Simply within the same space. They carry their own broom. Their own cloth. Their movements are careful. Measured. Almost identical. The rhythm has been learned without words. Through many days. Through many quiet mornings. The temple receives this without reaction. It does not change for one or for two. It remains as it is. Still. Calm. Waiting. The courtyard is swept by both. Not together, not in perfect step, but in harmony. Each working along different edges. Different paths. Yet always aware of the other. Without looking. Without speaking. Sweep, pause, sweep. Two soft rhythms, overlapping gently. Never interrupting. Never colliding. Inside the temple, the same quiet sharing unfolds. The older cleaner moves through familiar halls. The younger one follows similar paths. Learning the deeper spaces. The hidden corners. The places where dust gathers without being seen. There are moments when they cross paths. Not stopping. Not acknowledging. Only passing. Each continuing their motion. Each holding the same calm presence. The cloth moves across the stone. Cloth, wipe, place. The small objects are lifted. Returned exactly where they belong. The younger hands are careful. Precise. Guided not by instruction, but by repetition. By observation. By time spent within the same stillness. The older cleaner pauses more often now. Not in a way that disrupts the work. Only in small, quiet moments. Standing near a column. Resting briefly in the shade. Watching without focusing. The younger cleaner does not rush to fill these pauses. They do not take over. They simply continue their own part. Allowing the rhythm to remain balanced. Allowing the day to unfold as it always has. The temple holds both presences gently. There is no difference in the way it receives them. No preference. No change. Only the same quiet space. The same still air. The same steady light moving across the stone. The seasons continue to turn. Warmth returns. Then fades again. Coolness settles. Then lifts. The light grows strong. Then soft. And through it all, the work continues. Now shared. But unchanged. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. The older cleaner moves more slowly with each passing day. The steps remain steady. But softer. The hands still know every surface. Every edge. Every small detail of the temple. But they linger longer on each motion. As if holding the moment just a little more. The younger cleaner moves with a slightly quicker rhythm. Not rushed. Not hurried. Just lighter. More fluid. Their movements carry the same care. The same attention. But with a different energy. Together, they form a balance. One steady and deep. The other quiet and rising. The temple remains unchanged between them. There is no moment where one fully replaces the other. No clear shift. Only a gradual blending. Like light changing through the day. Like the seasons passing without announcement. There are mornings when the older cleaner begins the work. And the younger follows. And there are mornings when the younger begins. While the older remains still for a little longer. Resting. Observing. Being present without moving. These changes happen without decision. without plan, only through the quiet flow of time. The temple does not notice. Or if it does not show it. It remains as it has always been. A place of stillness. A place of quiet care. A place where time moves without urgency. The lamps are still lit each evening. One by one. The small flames appear. Soft. Steady. The younger hands now light many of them. The older hands light fewer. But the motion is the same. The flame is the same. The glow is unchanged. Night still settles. Slowly. Gently. The temple returns to its deep quiet. And within that quiet, both presences rest. The older cleaner lies down in the same small room. The woven mat unchanged. The space familiar. The younger cleaner rests nearby. Not far. Not separate. Only within the same calm environment. The night passes. As it always does. Without sound. Without interruption. And morning comes again. The cycle continues. Unbroken. Unending. But now carried by more than one set of hands. More than one quiet presence. The temple remains. The work remains. The rhythm remains. And within that rhythm, life moves forward. Not in steps that can be counted. But in a soft, continuous flow. Where nothing is lost. Nothing is rushed. Everything simply continues. The rhythm of the temple continues, as it always has. Morning still arrives quietly. The sky still lightens without sound. The air still holds that soft, cool stillness before the day begins. But within that stillness, something has shifted further. So gently that it almost cannot be noticed. The younger cleaner now rises first. Not every day. But often. The small room remains the same. The woven mat. The simple bowl. The faint outline of familiar objects resting in their usual places. The younger cleaner moves through these early moments with care. Slowly. Respectfully. As if aware that each movement is part of something much older. Something that must not be disturbed. The door opens softly. The courtyard waits. The broom is lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. The rhythm begins. Alone, at first. The sound is the same. The motion is the same. But there is a quiet awareness beneath it. A sense of carrying something forward. Not as a burden. But as a continuation. The older cleaner rises later now. The movement is slower. More deliberate. The body takes its time. Not resisting. Not struggling. Only moving as it can. Stepping into the courtyard after the younger has already begun. There is no interruption. No acknowledgement. Only a quiet merging of presence. Two figures in the same space. One already within the rhythm. The other entering it gently. The broom moves in both hands. Sweep, pause, sweep. The sounds overlap. Soft. Even. Unchanging. The temple receives this as it receives everything. Without reaction. Without preference. The light begins to enter again. Spreading slowly across the stone. Touching the ground. Climbing the walls. Filling the space with a quiet warmth. The younger cleaner moves through the light with steady steps. The older cleaner follows more slowly. Pausing more often now. Standing for longer moments. Resting within the stillness. Inside the temple, the work continues. The cloth is lifted. Cloth, wipe, place. The younger hands move with growing confidence. Each surface is cleaned with care. Each object handled gently. Placed exactly where it belongs. The knowledge has settled deeply now. No longer something being learned, but something being lived. The older cleaner moves less within the inner halls. Not from absence, but from a quiet stepping back. Allowing space. Allowing the rhythm to continue without constant presence. There are moments when the older cleaner simply sits near a pillar, or along the edge of the courtyard, watching without focusing, breathing slowly, being part of the temple in stillness rather than motion. The younger cleaner does not rush to fill every space. They move steadily, completing the work as it comes. Not faster, not slower, just as it should be. The temple remains unchanged. The floors are still smooth. The air still calm. The silence still deep. Nothing reveals the passing of time, except the soft shift in movement. The seasons continue. Warm days return. The sun rises a little earlier. The air carries a faint scent of dry earth. Then, slowly, the heat deepens. The stone holds warmth longer into the evening. The work continues through it all. The younger cleaner wipes the surfaces. Cloth, wipe, place. The older cleaner rests more often in the shaded areas. Still present. Still part of the rhythm. But moving less. There is no moment where the work stops. No gap. No absence. Only a gentle rebalancing. The temple is always cared for. Always attended. Always held within the same quiet attention. The lamps are still lit each evening. Now mostly by the younger hands. One by one. Each small flame appears. Soft. Steady. Unchanging. The older cleaner lights fewer now. Sometimes none. Watching instead. Sitting quietly as the light grows within the temple. The glow fills the space. Warm. Gentle. Familiar. Night still comes. Slowly. Softly. The temple settles into darkness again. And both presences remain. One resting more deeply. The other still carrying the small tasks of the day. The small room feels slightly different now. Not in its form, but in its presence. The younger cleaner moves quietly within it. Arranging simple things. Keeping the space as it has always been. The older cleaner rests longer. The breath slow. Even. Calm. There is no urgency. No struggle. Only a quiet fading into stillness. Morning returns. As it always does. The younger cleaner rises. The broom is lifted. Sweep. Pause. Sweep. The sound continues. Alone for longer now. The older cleaner rises later. Or sometimes remains resting. The day unfolds gently around this change. Without disruption. Without concern. The temple continues to receive care. The work continues to be done. Nothing is left undone. Nothing is forgotten. The rhythm has been passed. Not through words. Not through instruction. But through time. Through presence. Through the quiet repetition of simple acts. The older cleaner is still there. Still part of the temple. But more within the stillness now. Less within the movement. And the younger cleaner carries the rhythm forward. Fully. Naturally. Without force. Without hesitation. The temple remains unchanged. as it always has been, as it always will be. And within it, the quiet work continues. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. Day after day. Softly. Endlessly. The temple remains as it has always been. Still. Quiet. Unchanging. Morning comes again, as it always does. The sky softens from darkness into pale light. The air holds that same gentle coolness before the warmth of day. The younger cleaner now rises alone. The small room is silent. The woven mat rests in its place. The simple objects remain undisturbed. There is another presence still, but it is quieter now. So quiet that it almost blends into the stillness itself. The younger cleaner moves carefully. Respectfully. The door opens with the same soft motion. The courtyard waits. The broom is lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. The rhythm begins again. But now, it carries a different weight. Not heavy. Not burdened. Just deeper. More complete. The sound of the broom is the only movement in the early morning. It brushes gently across the stone. A steady, familiar sound. The same as it has always been. But now, it fills the space alone. The older cleaner does not step into the courtyard right away. Inside the small room, the breath is slow. Even. Barely noticeable. The presence remains. But it no longer moves with the day. It rests within it. The younger cleaner continues. Sweep, pause, sweep. Each motion is steady. Calm. Complete. There is no rushing. No attempt to fill the silence. The silence is part of the work now. As much as the sweeping itself. The light begins to enter the courtyard. Soft lines of pale gold stretch across the ground. They move slowly, as they always have. Touching the edges of the temple walls. Climbing gently upward. The younger cleaner moves within that light. The broom gliding across the stone. The rhythm unbroken. Inside the temple, the work continues. The cloth is lifted. Cloth, wipe, place. Each surface is cleaned. Each object returned. Everything is exactly as it should be. The knowledge is complete now. Nothing is uncertain. Nothing is unfamiliar. The hands move without thought. Guided by memory. By repetition. By quiet understanding. The older cleaner remains within the small room for longer stretches. Sometimes rising slowly. Sometimes not. The day does not depend on this movement anymore. The rhythm continues regardless. The temple does not change. The floors remain smooth. The air remains still. The silence remains deep. There are moments when the younger cleaner pauses. Not out of need, but out of awareness. Standing in the courtyard. The broom resting lightly against the ground. The eyes not focused on anything. Only present. These pauses are longer now. Not interrupting the work. Only becoming part of it. A natural extension of the rhythm. The older presence is still there. But it has become part of the stillness itself. Less a figure. More a quiet existence within the space. The younger cleaner feels this. Not in a way that can be explained. Only in a quiet knowing. The temple holds this change gently. Without reaction. Without disturbance. The seasons continue their slow turning. Warm days pass. Cool nights return. The light shifts. The air changes. But the work remains. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. The lamps are still lit each evening. Now entirely by the younger hands. One by one. Each flame appears. Soft. Steady. Unwavering. The glow fills the temple. Just as it always has. The older cleaner no longer lights the lamps. No longer moves through the evening tasks. But the presence remains. Quiet. Resting. Part of the temple in a different way now. Night settles slowly. The darkness deepens. The sounds fade completely. The younger cleaner returns to the small room. Moving quietly. Carefully. Everything is kept as it has always been. The woven mat remains. The simple objects remain. Nothing is removed. Nothing is changed. The older presence rests. The breath soft. Faint. Still. Morning comes again. The younger cleaner rises. The broom is lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. The sound fills the courtyard once more. Alone. But not empty. Never empty. The temple is full of quiet presence. Full of memory. Full of the countless days that have passed within its walls. The younger cleaner carries all of this forward. Not consciously. Not as a burden. But as part of the rhythm itself. The older cleaner is now almost entirely within stillness. No longer moving with the day. No longer part of the visible work. But still present. Still part of the temple. In the same way the stone is present. In the same way the air is present. Quiet. Unchanging. The days continue. Unbroken. The work continues. Unchanged. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. The temple remains. Calm. Endless. And within it, the rhythm carries on. Softly. Gently. Without beginning. Without end. The temple remains. It does not change. The stone is as it has always been. The air is still. The silence is deep and steady. Morning arrives again. Softly. Without sound. The sky lightens, almost unnoticed. The younger cleaner rises alone now. The small room is quiet. The woven mat lies undisturbed beside another that is no longer used. The space holds a gentle stillness. Not empty. Not full. Just quiet. The younger cleaner moves slowly. Carefully. The same way as always. The same way it has been learned over many days, many seasons. The door opens. The courtyard waits. The broom is lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. The rhythm begins again. Unbroken. Unchanged. But now fully carried by one set of hands. The sound moves across the stone. Soft. Even. Steady. It fills the morning air. The temple receives it quietly. As it always has. There is no sense of absence here. No disruption. Only continuation. The light slowly enters the courtyard. Thin lines stretch across the ground. Climbing gently along the walls. The younger cleaner moves within that light. Each step measured. Each motion calm. Sweep, pause, sweep. The rhythm holds. Inside the temple, the work continues. The cloth is lifted. Cloth, wipe, place. Each surface is tended. Each object handled with care. Returned to its place. Nothing is forgotten. Nothing is overlooked. The knowledge is complete. Settled deeply into the body. Into the hands. Into the quiet awareness that guides every movement. The small room remains unchanged. The second mat is still there. Left as it was. Not moved. Not removed. It rests quietly within the space. Part of the room. Part of the memory held within it. But the day does not return to it. The work continues outside. The temple continues. The courtyard is swept. The halls are cleaned. The lamps are prepared. Everything moves forward. As it always has. The older presence is no longer part of the visible day. It has faded completely into stillness. Not in a way that disturbs the rhythm, but in a way that becomes part of it. Like the stone. Like the air. Like the quiet itself. The younger cleaner feels no urgency to change anything. No need to adjust the space. Everything remains as it was. As it should be. The temple holds the memory without weight. Without burden. Only as part of its calm existence. The seasons continue to turn. Warmth returns. Then slowly fades. Cool air settles again. The light shifts. The shadows move differently across the stone. But the work remains the same. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. The younger cleaner pauses sometimes. Standing in the courtyard. The broom resting lightly. The breath slow. Even. These pauses are not empty. They are full of quiet presence. Full of the same stillness that fills the temple. Time moves within these pauses. But it does not rush. It does not press forward. It simply passes. Gently. The lamps are lit each evening. One by one. Each flame appears. Soft. Steady. Unchanging. The glow fills the temple again. As it always has. The younger cleaner moves through the evening tasks alone. But not in isolation. The temple surrounds the movement. Holds it. Supports it. Night settles. Slowly. Quietly. The darkness deepens. The sounds fade. The younger cleaner returns to the small room. The space is calm. Unchanged. The woven mat is prepared. The second mat remains beside it. Still. Undisturbed. The room holds both past and present. Without conflict. Without difference. Only as part of the same quiet existence. Morning comes again. The cycle continues. Unbroken. Unending. The younger cleaner rises. The broom is lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. The sound continues. Soft. Steady. Filling the courtyard. Filling the temple. Filling the quiet space of the day. There is no beginning now. No clear moment where the work starts. It simply continues. As it always has. As it always will. The temple remains. Still. Calm. Endless. And within it, the quiet rhythm carries on. Through one set of hands. Through one quiet presence. Holding everything together. Gently. Softly. Without effort. Without end. The temple remains as it has always been. Still. Quiet. Unmoving, yet never empty. Morning arrives again. Not as something new, but as something that has always been happening. The sky softens. The darkness fades gently into light. The air carries that same cool calmness before the warmth begins to rise. The younger cleaner wakes. The movement is slow. Not because of tiredness, but because there is no reason to hurry. The small room holds its quiet shape. The woven mat. The stillness. The second mat resting beside it, unchanged. Nothing is added. Nothing is taken away. The space simply remains. The cleaner stands. Steps softly. Opens the door. The courtyard waits. As it always does. The broom is lifted. Sweep. Pause. Sweep. The rhythm continues. It no longer feels like something that begins each day. It feels like something that never stopped. Even during the night. Even in stillness. As if the temple itself carries the rhythm, and the cleaner simply moves within it. The sound of the broom brushes lightly across the stone. Soft. Even. Steady. It fills the space without breaking the silence. The silence remains. Deeper than the sound. Holding it gently. The light slowly enters. Spreading across the ground. Touching the edges of the walls. Climbing upward in quiet motion. The cleaner moves through that light. Each step placed carefully. Each movement unhurried. There is no thought of finishing. No sense of beginning. Only the continuation of what is already there. Sweep. Pause. Sweep. Inside the temple, the air is cool. The stone holds the memory of the night. The cleaner lifts the cloth. Cloth. Wipe. Place. Each surface is tended. Each object returned to its place. The same actions. The same motions. Repeated over many days. So many days that they no longer feel like repetition. They feel like stillness in motion. The hands move. But the mind rests. The body works. But the space remains calm. There is no separation between the cleaner and the temple now. No distance. No difference. Only presence. The temple is cared for. The cleaner moves. And the two exist together. Quietly. Without effort. The courtyard, the halls, the small corners all receive the same gentle attention. Dust is removed. Surfaces are smoothed. Objects are aligned. Everything is exactly as it should be. Not perfect. Not changed. Just cared for. The day moves forward. But it does not feel like movement. It feels like a slow unfolding. The light grows stronger. Then softens again. The air warms. Then cools. The shadows shift. Stretching across the stone. Then fading into evening. The cleaner continues. Sweep. Pause. Sweep. Cloth. Wipe. Place. The rhythm does not change. It does not need to. There are moments when the cleaner stops. Standing still in the courtyard. The broom resting gently. The breath slow. Even. In these moments, nothing moves. And yet everything continues. The light continues to shift. The air continues to flow. Time continues to pass. But it feels distant. Soft. Almost unnoticeable. The temple holds these moments. Just as it holds everything else. Without interruption. Without expectation. Evening arrives. The light fades. The shadows deepen. The cleaner prepares the lamps. One by one. Each flame appears. Small. Steady. Quiet. The glow spreads slowly. Filling the temple with warmth. The same gentle light that has always been there. The same calm presence. The cleaner moves through the halls, lighting each lamp. Not rushing. Not pausing too long. Only continuing. As always. Night settles. Softly. The darkness grows. The sounds fade. The temple becomes still again. But the stillness is never empty. It is full. Full of quiet presence. Full of the rhythm that continues even without movement. The cleaner returns to the small room. The woven mat is prepared. The second mat remains beside it. Unchanged. Always there. The room holds both past and present together. Without conflict. Without difference. Only quiet existence. The cleaner lies down. The breath slows. The body rests. The night passes. As it always does. Without disturbance. Without sound. Morning comes again. The light returns. The air cool and calm. The cleaner rises. The broom is lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. And the rhythm continues. Not as something that starts again, but as something that never ended. The temple remains. Still. Endless. Calm. And within it, the quiet work goes on. Without beginning. Without end. Only a soft, steady presence. Like the slow passing of time. Like the gentle fading of light at the end of day. The temple does not feel like it is moving forward anymore. It feels like it is simply being. Morning arrives in the same quiet way it always has. Not earlier. Not later. Just present. The light begins as a soft change in the air. A gentle easing of darkness into pale gray, then into warm, thin gold. The younger cleaner rises. The motion is unhurried, almost automatic now. The body knows the day before it begins. The small room is still. The woven mat rests where it has always been. The second mat remains beside it, unchanged in position, unchanged in meaning. Nothing about the space feels new. Nothing feels old either. It simply is. The door opens softly. The courtyard waits. And the broom is lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. The sound returns. Familiar as breath. Familiar as silence. It moves across the stone without resistance, without urgency, without any need to be noticed. The temple does not react to it. It never has. The rhythm belongs here now, as much as the walls, the air, the light. The cleaner walks the same paths again. Edges first. Corners. The places where dust naturally gathers, as if the world itself prefers to settle there. Sweep, pause, sweep. There is no thought behind it. Not because thought is absent, but because it is no longer required. The body remembers everything. The hands already know. The temple does not ask questions. It only receives care. Inside the halls, the air is cool and still. Light moves slowly through narrow openings in the stone above. It draws long shapes across the floor. Soft lines that change as the day continues. The cleaner passes through them. Not avoiding them. Not seeking them. Just moving within them. Cloth is lifted. Cloth, wipe, place. Each surface is touched lightly. Each object is returned to its exact position. There is no need to look twice. There is no need to correct anything. Everything already knows where it belongs. Time does not feel like something that passes anymore. It feels like something that rests within the space. Layered. Quiet. Present in every corner, but never pressing forward. The courtyard fills with morning light. Not brighter than before. Not different. Just continuing its slow, familiar arrival. The cleaner moves through it. Sweep, pause, sweep. The rhythm is steady. Even. Unbroken. The wind passes through the open space sometimes. Very lightly. It carries no urgency. Only movement. Only air. It brushes across the stone, then leaves again. The cleaner adjusts nothing. The temple adjusts nothing. Everything remains as it is. There are moments when the cleaner stops. Standing in the middle of the courtyard. Broom resting against the ground. No focus in the eyes. No direction in the mind. Only stillness. And within that stillness, the temple feels complete. Not full. Not empty. Just complete. The work continues after these pauses. As it always does. Sweep, pause, sweep. Inside, cloth moves again across stone. Cloth, wipe, place. The same gestures repeated through countless mornings. Not repeated in the sense of copying, but in the sense of continuing something that never needed to begin again. The lamps are prepared later in the day. Even though it is still morning in the light outside, the temple already feels like it is holding the shape of evening somewhere within it. Time is not separate here. It folds into itself gently. The cleaner moves through each chamber, lighting small lamps when needed, checking shadows, softening them, not removing them, just balancing them. The glow begins to appear in small corners. Warm, steady, familiar. It does not change the temple. It only reveals it differently. The walls feel the same. The carvings remain still. But now there is light resting within them. Evening will come later, as it always does. But the preparation is already part of the day. The rhythm includes everything. Morning, afternoon, evening, night. But none of them feel separate. They blend into a single continuous flow. The cleaner does not mark them. Does not divide them. Only moves through them. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. Light, shadow, stillness. The older presence is no longer felt as absence. Not even as memory. It is simply no longer separate from the temple itself. The space holds everything equally. The work continues without reference to anything before it. Without anticipation of anything after. The day unfolds. Softly. Endlessly. Not repeating. Not changing. Just continuing. And within that continuation, the temple remains exactly as it has always been. Quiet. Balanced. Still. And the rhythm carries on. Without beginning. Without end. Only presence. Only movement. Only the soft passing of time that never needs to be named. At some point, the idea of a day begins to lose its edges. Morning still comes. Evening still arrives. Night still settles. But they no longer feel like separate events. They feel like shifts in the same long breath. The temple exists within that breath. And the cleaner moves with it. The younger cleaner rises. As always. Not with urgency. Not with hesitation. Just the quiet motion of a body that has learned every corner of its world. The small room is unchanged. The woven mat is still there. The second mat remains beside it. Time has passed through this space many times now, but it has not altered its shape. It only rests inside it. The door opens. The courtyard waits. The broom is lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. The sound begins again. But even the sound feels less like a beginning now. More like something that is always present, just becoming noticeable again. The stone receives it without reaction. The temple does not respond. It simply holds the rhythm. The cleaner moves along familiar paths. Edges first. Corners next. Then the wider spaces where light rests in long, soft shapes. There is no planning. No sequence being followed. Only attention. Only presence. Sweep, pause, sweep. Inside the halls, the air remains cool even as the outside world warms. The stone keeps its quiet memory of night. The cloth is lifted. Cloth, wipe, place. Each surface is touched lightly. Not corrected. Not improved. Just maintained in its natural stillness. There is no sense of completion anymore. Only continuation. As if the temple is never finished being cared for. And never needs to be. Light moves through the upper openings in slow changes. It does not rush across the floor. It rests, then shifts, then rests again. The cleaner moves within it. Without adjusting. Without avoiding. The body no longer distinguishes between work and space. Both have become the same thing. The courtyard feels wider than it once did. Not physically, but in experience. As if silence itself has expanded. The broom traces it gently. Sweep, pause, sweep. Sometimes the cleaner pauses longer than before. Standing near a column. Or at the center of the courtyard. Not thinking. Not reflecting. Just existing within the stillness. And the stillness feels complete. Even when nothing is happening. Especially when nothing is happening. The temple does not require movement. But it accepts it. Just as it accepts silence. Just as it accepts light. The day continues to unfold. Not in stages anymore. But in a continuous soft flow. Morning blending into something that is neither morning nor afternoon. Afternoon dissolving into something that is not quite evening. Everything becoming one extended presence. The lamps are prepared when the light begins to soften. Not because it is time. But because it feels natural. One flame appears. Then another. Then another. Small points of warmth forming gently within the growing dimness. The temple responds without change. It does not brighten or darken in reaction. It simply holds both. Light and shadow together. The cleaner moves through this balance. Lighting each lamp. Cloth still folded nearby. Broom resting at times against the stone. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. The repetition is no longer repetition. It is structure. It is the shape of existence here. Night arrives without announcement. The transition is so gentle it feels like nothing has changed at all. Only the quality of light shifts. Only the air cools slightly. The temple becomes quieter. But it was never loud. So the change is almost unnoticeable. The cleaner continues moving. Until movement itself feels optional. Not stopped. Just unnecessary in some moments. The body still works. But it no longer feels separate from rest. The small room is entered. The woven mat is there. The second mat is still there. No difference between them in this quietness. No memory attached to them anymore. Only presence. The cleaner lies down. The breath slows. Not because sleep is needed in urgency, but because stillness naturally deepens. Outside, the temple remains. Lamps glowing softly. Stone holding warmth from earlier in the day. Air resting between movement and silence. Time passes. But there is nothing to mark it. No change in tone. No change in feeling. Only continuation. And somewhere within that continuation, morning will arrive again. As it always does. As it always has. The broom will be lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. But even that thought feels distant. Like something already happening. Not something waiting to begin. There is no clear edge anymore between one moment and the next. No sharp beginning of morning. No defined arrival of night. Only a slow, continuous unfolding. The temple exists within it. And the cleaner exists within the temple. And neither feels separate from the other now. The younger cleaner rises. Not as an action that begins the day, but as a continuation of something already in motion. The small room is unchanged. The woven mat remains where it has always been. The second mat still rests beside it. Time has passed over these objects many times, but it has not altered their stillness. It only moves through them. The door opens. The courtyard is there. Always there. The broom is lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. The rhythm continues. But even continues feels too strong a word. It is simply present. Like breathing that never needed to be started. The stone receives the motion. It does not respond. It does not change. It only allows. The cleaner moves along the edges of the courtyard. The familiar path is no longer felt as a path. It is just movement through space that is already known without needing recognition. Corners are reached. Dust is gathered. Sweep, pause, sweep. The sound is soft enough that it blends into the silence rather than interrupting it. Inside the temple, the air remains calm. Light shifts through the upper openings in slow, patient patterns. It does not announce itself. It does not insist on being seen. It simply rests where it falls. The cloth is lifted. Cloth, wipe, place. The motion is unchanged. But even motion feels like too much distinction. It is simply care expressed through movement. The surfaces do not become different after being touched. They remain what they are. Only briefly cleared of what time leaves behind. There is no expectation attached to the act. Only continuation. The temple holds this without resistance. It does not remember yesterday. It does not prepare for tomorrow. It only remains open to what is happening now, even if now stretches without end. The courtyard is quiet. Even when footsteps come and go from others, they do not disturb anything beneath them. They pass through the space like passing weather. The cleaner does not adjust to them. There is nothing to adjust. Sweep, pause, sweep. Sometimes the broom rests longer against the stone. Not as rest. Not as pause. Just as part of the rhythm settling into itself. The body no longer separates effort from stillness. Both are the same state in different shapes. The lamps are prepared as the light begins to soften again. But even again feels distant. It is not another evening. It is simply a change in tone. One flame appears. Then another. Then another. The glow spreads gently through the temple. Not changing it, only revealing it in a different way. The stone looks the same. The carvings remain still. But now they hold light instead of daylight. The cleaner moves through it, not guiding it, not controlling it, only continuing within it. Night does not arrive. It settles. As if it was already there, just becoming more noticeable. The temple becomes quieter, but it was never loud. The difference is almost unrecognizable. The small room is entered without transition. There is no sense of leaving anything behind. There is nothing to leave. The woven mat is there. The second mat is there. Both unchanged. Both simply part of the space. The cleaner lies down. Not as an end to the day. Not as a separation from work. Just as another position within the same continuous stillness. The breath slows. The body rests. But nothing feels like it stops. Outside, the lamps continue to glow. Soft points of light resting within the temple's darkness. The air remains calm. The stone remains steady. Time passes without announcing itself. There is no sense of waiting. No sense of becoming. Only being. And somewhere within that being, movement will arise again. The broom will be lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. But even that feels like it is already happening. Already part of the same unbroken presence. Not beginning. Not ending. Just continuing. There is a point where even the idea of time becomes unnecessary. Not because it has ended, but because it no longer needs to be noticed. The temple exists in that quiet space now. Still. Open. Endless in a way that does not ask to be understood. Morning does not arrive. Night does not fall. Light does not begin, and darkness does not end. They are all simply here, together, gently shifting without urgency. The younger cleaner rises. Or perhaps it is more accurate to say there is movement. A soft, familiar movement within the space. The small room remains as it has always been. The woven mat. The second mat. The quiet air resting between them. Nothing has changed here for a long time. And nothing needs to. The door opens. The courtyard is present. Not new. Not old. Just present. The broom is lifted. Sweep, pause, sweep. The motion continues, but it no longer feels like something being done. It feels like something the temple itself is breathing through. The stone does not resist. It does not accept. It simply exists with the motion moving across it. Dust gathers and is gently moved. Not removed. Not erased. Just shifted within the same quiet order. Inside the temple, the air is still. Light rests wherever it naturally falls. There is no direction to it anymore. Only presence. The cloth moves. Cloth, wipe, place. But even that distinction softens now. It is no longer cleaning. It is simply touch. Simple, steady presence moving across surface. The temple holds everything without preference. No part of it is more important than another. No corner is forgotten. No space is separate. Everything belongs equally to the same stillness. There is no longer a sense of a single person doing this work. There is only the movement itself. The rhythm itself. Sweep, pause, sweep. Cloth, wipe, place. The lamps appear when they appear. Light forming gently in small points. Not marking evening. Not resisting night. just becoming visible within the dimness. The glow spreads without effort. The temple does not change because of it. It simply reveals itself in a different quiet tone. There is no longer anyone waiting for night. No longer anyone preparing for morning. There is only the temple, continuing. The small room is still there. The mats remain. But even the idea of entering or leaving feels distant now. Everything is already within everything else. Rest and movement are no longer separate states. They are the same stillness expressed differently. The body lies down. Or perhaps it is simply that stillness becomes deeper. The breath continues. Or perhaps it is simply part of the air moving through the space. Outside, the temple stands. Stone holding centuries of quiet care. Not remembering them. Not carrying them. Just shaped by them. The lamps remain lit. Soft, steady, small. Their light does not fight the darkness. It rests inside it. The temple is neither awake nor asleep. Neither empty nor full. It is simply what it has always been. A place where nothing is interrupted. Where everything continues without needing to be named. And the rhythm, if it can still be called that, is no longer something that begins or ends. It is simply there. Sweep, pause, sweep. Not as action. Not as memory. But as the way the temple exists. Cloth, wipe, place. Not as work. Not as duty. But as quiet presence moving through stillness. Time no longer moves forward. Because there is nothing for it to move toward. And nothing for it to leave behind. Only this. Only this quiet space that has always been here. And will always be here. The temple does not conclude. It does not finish. It does not fade. It simply remains. And within it, everything continues gently. Without beginning. Without end. Without anyone needing to watch it happen. Just stillness. And the soft, endless presence of a place that never needed to change at all.